Good morning. On behalf of the Alliance of Women in Workers' Compensation, I want to welcome you to today's webinar. Today's webinar is an opportunity for you to kick off your year with the Alliance leadership team. This live discussion is being broadcast today, January 11th, 2024. Before we get started, I would love to thank our 2024 corporate sponsors for their support on hosting events such as this webinar today. They support us not because they want their logos up on a screen, but they support the Alliance's cause, which is to effect positive change in the workers' compensation industry through networking, supporting, mentoring, and collaboration. The Alliance is inclusive of all professionals in workers' compensation, regardless of career stage, with the belief that we can all learn from and support each other. Thank you to each of our 2024 corporate sponsors. Our theme this year is Ignite Your Potential. Be sure to head to our website for all upcoming events. We are excited to host webinars, collaboration sessions, and in-person events throughout 2024 as we provide the resources and speakers to help you ignite your potential. Be sure to check back on our website for all registration details. And if you cannot make an in-person or webinar event, don't worry. All events will be recorded and on our website. The Alliance has grown so much each year, and 2023 was no exception. We continue to launch new chapters, so please be sure to connect with your local ambassador for all upcoming events. If you would like more details on the ambassador program, please join us for our January 25th panel, where we will provide details about the program and how you can get involved. Register through our website today. Change is preceded by trust. It is through acceptance and inclusion that trust will be formed and positive impact will occur. The Alliance is committed to creating a safe space in the workers' compensation industry for women of diverse backgrounds and experiences through a shared culture that integrates various perspectives. This is who we are and who we will be. The time to do better and be better is now. The Alliance understands that diversity is a journey that will take time to make meaningful changes for our organization, its followers, and its supporters. We will be intentional in making progress along our key pillars of change. Turning to today's webinar. Following the success of 2023, we are looking forward to an even bigger 2024, and it starts with you, our members. Join the Alliance for a series of 101 sessions to reintroduce you to the organization, its mission, and how you can get involved and find value within the Alliance. Today is our first of 4 sessions, and it's a panel discussion with the Alliance leadership. Join this discussion today to hear plans for the year, as well as the focus, and to ask questions directly of our leadership. Today, you will get to hear from and ask questions of Alliance President Kimberly George, Vice President Jennifer Ryon, and Secretary Marijo Storment. As this is a live session, please utilize the chat feature throughout to engage with our leadership team and your fellow members. We know there's going to be a lot of dialogue today, and we love to see it. Thank you for the time you're spending with us today, and we hope you enjoy this webinar.
So the purpose of the Alliance is really important to me. When we think about the future, we need to hone in on that purpose and ensure we're meeting the needs of the organization. We focus on personal and professional development, helping new entrants into the industry to the most senior women in workers' compensation. We help them professionally develop for that next level. We also are really driven in giving back. So many of us who've been in the industry a long time see the Alliance as our opportunity to help that next generation become the future leaders.
We knew right out of the gates that not everybody could attend national events, that having a local presence where you could do many events across the United States would really help drive that initiative and bring people together.
I'm most proud that we have impacted the lives of women, both those that are in leadership positions, but probably more important, new and emerging leaders, that we've created a space that they can come, they can network, they can learn, and they can grow. And there's not very many areas and opportunities for women in this business for them to do that.
This is such an exciting time for the Alliance. Having been a founding board member and now current president, this gives us an opportunity for more of you to actually participate in the Alliance. We have new board members who have been a part of the Alliance, engaging for a number of years. We have former ambassadors that are now board members. And so it's important that we bring in new, fresh ideas as we think about sustainability of the organization for decades to come.
The core focus that I hope never changes is the support and camaraderie among women. We know that we can lift each other up, we're better together, and we've all grown so much through the networking and the opportunity to just learn and support other women. It's part of what makes the Alliance so unique. We're not competing with one another, even though oftentimes it's competitors who are all in the same room. But what we're really about is supporting each other and creating a platform for growth and development. Since I joined the Alliance, I changed roles, broadened my career, and I look back on the Alliance and my involvement, and I know that those connections that I've made, those thought partners, those trusted women that I have gone to and sought advice from, they were there to help me when I made those hard decisions. And so I've grown, I've changed, and I reflect on that today, and I know that it's a part of the reason that I am where I am today is because of my involvement in the Alliance.
I think the importance of any organization that has growth is you have to bring in fresh ideas. I mean, what you did yesterday might not be applicable to what you do tomorrow. You have to continue to evolve and change. And I think an organization that doesn't do that is one that stays stagnant and fails. So the transition that Alliance has gone through is so healthy and so beneficial because the new board with Kimberly leading it, they're just going to take it to the next level. Without that, without change and without that growth, I think we would dwindle. So it's important to the success and the future of the Alliance. How do you define success as a leader? Is when you have stronger people that are coming behind you, and there's nothing better. I mean, that's success. That's defining success. Is that these leaders behind you will come and make it stronger. And I want to be a part of that any way possible.
Oh, I hope you liked that video. It really gets
gave
to
me
my
chills,
heart.
Kimberly. It gave me chills.
I'm like beaming, like my smile is like so big. It's so great.
Yeah, thank you for being with me today, Jennifer and Marijo, and to Lori for thinking about the need to reintroduce the Alliance. You know, when I think back, as Artemis was mentioning our founding days, we never envisioned we would have over 7,000 people participating in the Alliance within a given year. We didn't envision virtual events. We didn't ever even fathom that we would have over 100 events in a year, and that you, our audience, our followers, would be so engaged that Lori has almost her full year of virtual events planned, and you'll hear later in this webinar from Jennifer about the amazing in-person events as well, the ambassador program, and Marijo is keeping us all organized as our secretary, and there's so much going on around our structure, our organizational structure, to ensure that we've got a sustainable organization long term. So there is a lot we're going to touch on today. But given that we want to reintroduce the Alliance, some of you may wonder how we came about. And so I'll go down my memory lane for a minute and share with you how that came about. So Artemis Imsley, who you saw in the video, she's long-standing senior executive in the industry and leads her company, Cadence RX now. She brought a group of women together, and I feel so fortunate now in reminiscing that I was at that table, of how we could give back to the industry. Was there a need for a group to support women and women's development? And as we sat around the table, and you saw Michelle Adams with Walmart on the video as well, we sat around the table Some of us said, well, we've had really good support from men, and we don't want to leave men out because there are still more male leaders in workers' compensation than women. But yes, if we could give back and help early entrants in the industry, middle managers, and even the most senior execs with their career, be open and transparent, share the pitfalls, but give the tips to drive one's career and all of that decisioning that goes with it. Might it be being a new parent and you're managing your career? Maybe leaving your company, negotiating a salary, learning how to manage a profit and loss statement, building a budget, return on investment. So we sat around that table and said, absolutely. What we didn't know was at the same time, there was another group of women in another part of the country coming together to do something very similarly. And so in 2014, both organizations actually launched. There was Women in Workers' Compensation and Executives in Workers' Compensation. And we knew from the beginning, it did not make sense to have two organizations in our wonderful workers' compensation industry. So in 2016, the Alliance became the Alliance of Women in Workers' Compensation. And we're proud of that as well, because oftentimes you may find in the industry there are some, or in insurance more broadly, similar organizations, but we really felt we were better together. That's a term you've probably heard a lot if you've participated in the Alliance. So as I reflect on our journey, you know, one thing about the Alliance is we're about change. We know you and your career, your life, your experiences change all the time. And boy, were we ready for change when the pandemic happened, because we didn't even know it. But over 2 days, 3 days, we shifted to be a virtual organization. And some of you on here today, maybe we were the support for you. There were women that weren't getting engaged with their own companies or friends and family. It was so new. And so our virtual coffee chats, our collaborations really became somewhat of our organizational shift, if you will, because we realized that while in-person's super important, that virtual is important, not just during those pandemic years, but now coming out of it. So our journey has been one where we've had a board that's been willing to grow and change together. And at the time we shot that video you just saw, as Artemis said, we were transitioning to some new board members. And I couldn't be more proud of our board today, because each of them, including Jennifer and Marijo, have defined roles. So we have a structure of 12 board members. And there's a vast array of responsibilities. Thanks, Jen. She just put in the chat our website and about where you can see all of the board members. But for a snippet of that, when you think about what it takes for our organization to run with as many of you, the number of events you have grown to expect from us and participate in, we must have an organization and a board that's a working board. We work on the Alliance every day. This isn't, I hear Marijo chuckle. Yeah, very much a working board, unlike some nonprofits. So I'll just run through. I know that they're in the chat. You can go look at it. But fundraising is super important to us. Our sponsors, Marijo will speak to that. Our ambassador program, you heard referenced in the video. Jen will speak to that when we get a little further along in the webinar. And we have fundraising, ambassadors. DEI is embedded in everything we do. And so we have a board member focused on that and an amazing committee that is working diligently. And you'll have a webinar on that coming up to hear exciting news that the Alliance will launch in 2024 around DEI. Jen's over our marketing. We have events. You've met Lori Frey, who manages all our virtual events. And certainly we have in-person events, an employer advisory council, and I'll speak to that here in a moment. Data, you can imagine, managing our data is a huge task. Treasurer, secretary, and then of course myself. But before I go any further, I think it's really important that we all know the purpose of the Alliance. We are very intentional with our purpose, our mission, who we are, and what it is we deliver. And so we want to hold true to that mission while being flexible to make sure we have our content built out so that we'll continue to grow and have all of you engaged. So generally thinking around that content is personal and professional development, industry thought leadership, industry education. And one of the greatest benefits beyond that personal and professional development and learning more about the industry than you probably had before without us is the ability to network. You know, many of you have probably heard me say, we bump elbows. We spend time with the people we know. And some of our greatest learnings is when we get out of our comfort zone, attend an Alliance event, introduce yourself to others that you don't know, and learn from them, because they have so much to offer you that short of the Alliance, you probably never would have met them. So that's really what we're delivering. Our primary audience, as is outlined for the Alliance, is women building careers in the workers' compensation industry. But again, as I mentioned earlier, men are super important to that. Without men, we're siloed. And what men do is they're our sponsors. They can be mentors. And we've had so many men who tell us, your content matters just as much to me as it does to your women. The other thing is, the men who are leading women, they too learn so much from the Alliance. They have a woman's perspective in a safe place. And so please encourage men to join us. This is for all, while we all want to lift up women in the workers' compensation industry. And sometimes it's men in workers' comp that have daughters. There's just so much to learn, and we're so fortunate to have all of you come together. And put your logos aside. What do I mean by that? We put our company badge aside when we come. You know, regardless of the company I work for, you all know who that is. When I'm at the Alliance, yes, I'm representing them, but I am here for us. I am here for you, each of you, whether you are with a fierce competitor or not. We're all better together here at the Alliance. We have a vision, and I'm going to just read that. An industry positively impacted by women who are equitably represented, developed, and retained. And that's somewhat bold, but we believe it's a great vision. Thanks, Jen, for putting that in the chat. A great vision that we should all have in celebrating women, in helping lift them up, and making sure we're more equitable. And equitable for all. Our mission is inspiring the industry to invest in the development of women of diverse backgrounds and cultures through educational experiences, intentional support, and collaborative relationships. And then what will the Alliance's legacy be? Oh, goodness. When our current board met with our strategic planners earlier this year and really wanted to map out a strategic plan for the next 3 years. I'll say it again, to make sure we're sustainable long term, that we're not dependent on a single board person or a company's sponsorship, that this is the alliance of the industry, the alliance of women in workers' compensation that supports the entire industry. We needed to be a bit lofty in what our legacy will be. And so we came up with 4 areas, and I bet Jen will put these in the chat. We hope that, and we're working towards our legacy to be that we created a more dynamic workforce. We became a new face for the industry. We want the Alliance recognizable at all events and always, so that it can benefit our industry more, across the board. We want the Alliance to have made a difference in the careers for women and to be recognized as a trusted resource by the industry. And so that's what we're working towards. This is a new set of purpose, vision, mission, and our legacy. And we've, as I mentioned, created those through our work with the strategic plan. And Marijo, I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, just share a little bit about your thoughts around this, because I know as secretary, you remind us of the board about this, and just share a little bit about how you feel about the work we did maybe in creating this.
Well, I have to tell you, Kimberly, it was an incredible piece of work that we undertook as an organization in 2023, working with an outside partner that had 25 years of experience working with nonprofits, and really helped guide us through a 3-year strategic plan that really allowed us to honor what we've done in the past. It also validated that a lot of what we're currently doing is right for looking forward into the future, but also challenged us and said, kind of what Artemis talked about in the video about being an organization of change and to continue to evolve, whether it's through a pandemic and moving from in-person to virtual, like you talked about, or just continuing to grow as an organization so that our reach and our support of individuals and companies within our workers' compensation space can continue to be positively affected. I love what you said, bold, right? This legacy, this mission is bold. And so we have to be bold in our tactics and the things that we plan to do over the next few years to not only create that sustainability, but to continue to meet and push the women of our industry to get to this legacy.
Yeah, thanks, Marijo. I really appreciate that additional info. Thank you so much. So I want to touch on the strategic plan just a bit more, and then Marijo, as I transition to her, may bring more insight into that. Many of you may have participated in the strategic planning project or participated in executing part of your company's strategic plan, or maybe even through a nonprofit. As we sat down and started thinking about how do we make sure the Alliance is sustainable long-term, given some of what our audience and what you are asking for, what our sponsors would like from us, and there's more we could do. We realized that we needed to engage some strategic planning consultants to help us with that. And so the way we went about that was a little bit painful. You have to peel back the onion of your organization, and as a team, be very willing to dig in and share opinions and ultimately come to an agreement on what that plan is. And we ended up with well over 100 tasks that we've now organized into buckets, buckets of specific areas for us to work on, which Marijo will dig into. Through that, and the reason I wanted to share this with you is we will have many more committees at the Alliance and opportunities for you as a participant to share your feedback. We'll be reaching out through whether it's our webinars, our social media, primarily LinkedIn. Please, if you see a survey, weigh in, because it is all of our organization. This is not Kimberly's organization. I will roll off this board at some point. This is not Jennifer's organization or Dion Lacey Artis, who's a fantastic board member, any of us. It is a living, breathing organization, and we need your impact, and we look forward to your involvement, whether it's in chat, in person, raising your hand for an assignment. There are many ways to engage, and you don't know what all of those are. We understand that. We've heard you that you say, how can I get involved? But do be on the lookout for what's coming up via our social media, and certainly our website, which was shared earlier in this chat, has a link to the Alliance that you can email, or any of us are pretty easy to find when you look at the board members. So one area that I want to mention, we have an employer advisory council, and some say, well, what is that? Without the employers in our space, we would not be, whether you're an attorney, a physician, in managed care, workers' comp. A worker went to work on a particular day and got injured. And the workers' compensation industry is there to be able to help that person back to health and productivity. And the employer and the physicians and the whole ecosystem is really centered because there was an employer that had an employee and was injured. And we believe at the Alliance that the voice of the risk manager and the claims manager is very important, because if we're going to work on education and industry thought leadership, we need to know what's important to them. And so the women that serve on our employer advisory council, Lori Frey, who's over our virtual events, sat on that council before she raised her hand and said, I want to be a board member. And so these women really help shape the Alliance. And so I just wanted to recognize our employer advisory council, because they're very important to us. You see many of them speak either virtually or at in-person events, and they also participate in our local ambassador events and conferences. And I'm sure I missed a lot of content that Marijo and Jennifer will pick up as the conversation continues, and I welcome you to do so. But Marijo, why don't you take it from here?
Wonderful, Kimberly. I want to remind everybody there's great comments and welcome, and just the networking component of the Alliance. I see that in the chat. But if you have questions for us, we're here. We're also going to take questions and do Q&A at the end. So feel free to start populating those in as we continue to talk about the Alliance. And this reintroduction is just so exciting. I mean, what a better way to start our day to be able to share the news about what the Alliance has done historically, like with the founders video, and also what we have planned for the future, especially as we start talking about the strategic plan. But as Kimberly touched on, everything that we've done and everything that we plan to do, it takes resources, and a lot of resources. And we start, and Kimberly mentioned that we have a board, we have a working board, and I giggled because these are definitely working board positions. This is how the organization continues to move. And so we all have not only leadership roles in the organization, but we actually do a lot of the work, but not alone, right? So we have the 12 board members, and then we have a group of leaders that are called our ambassadors, and Jennifer's really going to talk about our ambassadors and the impact that the ambassadors have upon the industry, and just the work that the Alliance is doing all over, both virtually. The ambassadors are involved in our virtual content. They are definitely the leaders of our in-person content at the local level, and of those networking opportunities, which I can't say enough about, right? That's a big part of what the Alliance is about. And I think Michelle Adams really touched on that in a very nice way in that founders video on the importance of the relationships and the networking opportunities that are garnered here, which are not always found in other places outside of maybe your particular workplace. So we have the board members, we have our group of ambassadors, another resource group that we have that helps keep everything moving along and helps us deliver content and opportunities throughout the space are our committee members. And I don't think that historically we've talked enough about committee members, but they are really some of the engine behind everything that we do. And we have different types of committees. We have board-led committees. I think about Dion Lacey-Artis and sponsorship, and she has a committee. She has a group of women that help her, communicate with sponsors and talk about the value of the Alliance to potential new sponsors. And they also have to run around collecting money once people commit to sponsorship. I mean, there's all kinds of things that group has to do. And Dion has an incredible group of women that help her do that. And so in addition to board members, ambassadors, committee members, of course, Kimberly talked about the Employer Advisory Council, and she talked about that a lot. And then, of course, we have our participants and our followers. And Kimberly talked about the fact that we have reached over 7,000 followers. That gives me goosebumps. That's a lot of people that have either, signed up to participate in a book club, attended a virtual webinar, attended an in-person event, whether it be at a local level or at one of the national levels. So there's a lot there. It takes a lot of people, right? And it takes a lot of resource to keep the Alliance going. And of course, one of the last groups that I want to talk about when we talk about resources necessary for the Alliance is our group of sponsors, right? We could not do everything that we do takes energy and work from people, but it also takes funds. I want to remind everybody on the calls, we introduced the Alliance that every event that we do, not only do we leave our name tags at the door, as Kimberly talked about, there's no cost to attend. Whether you attend virtually, whether you attend in person, there is no cost. And there's a cost associated with these events, but those are absorbed by our sponsors. We have multiple opportunities to sponsor. We have a corporate sponsorship level. There is, there's a dollar threshold that puts people, puts organizations or individuals into a corporate sponsorship level. And those people are recognized in a lot of different ways. But there's also opportunity to sponsor at the event level, whether that's an in-person event sponsored and put on by an ambassador in the local vicinity, or an in-person event attached to one of our big national events, which Jennifer's going to talk more about. And I know you probably, a lot of people on these calls have probably have attended one of those. But it takes our sponsors. So first of all, we have to say thank you to our current sponsors. And when we look, and Kimberly talked about, there's a lot of ways to get involved. And you can see as we list those out, whether it's, looking at an ambassadorship, raising your hand and saying, I'd be happy to be on a committee. My organization can sponsor. We have, of course, the sponsors that provide, dollars and funds directly into our organization. We've had a lot of sponsors that have done in-kind donations as well. I think about our one, Kimberly, during COVID, we did one large event. We did our own conference, and it was a virtual conference. And for example, Safety National donated the virtual platform. We couldn't have pulled that conference off without that in-kind donation. That was such an impactful donation. So there's lots of ways to get involved, and everything that we do takes lots of resources, people, energy, time, and funds. And these are all different ways in which you can get involved. Kimberly, another thing you talked about is, succession planning and change of the board. leaders, and Artemis talked about that in the founder video as well. And I want to bring up that all of these positions are all feeders into different leadership positions. For example, I started off as an ambassador in the organization and eventually became a board member. Jennifer, I think you started off as a committee member as part of the National Work Comp Committee and working with Nina and putting that big event together. And Kimberly talked about Lori and her participation in the employer advisory, and now she's a board member. So all of these things lead together, and we work together, and we are definitely better together in doing all that we do. So in addition to talking about kind of our structure and opportunities to get involved and the value of our sponsors, I want to talk a little bit more in depth about what Kimberly introduced as far as this strategic plan that we put together. And what does that mean for the next 3 years of the organization? I think there's a lot that we really want to accomplish. I want to start off by saying, though, one of the things that we realize is a lot of what we're doing, and Jennifer's going to talk about that here shortly, a lot of what we're doing we felt was in just right in the sweet spot of the organization, that we were really impacting a lot of people through our events and our content and things that we're doing. So there's a lot of affirmation in the strategic planning process about things that we were doing well and right. But there's also opportunity for growth and change, and we wanted to make sure we capitalized on that. So some of the things that you'll see us really working on over the next few years are ensuring that our sponsors really understand the value and we communicate that value to our sponsors of their contributions to our organization. We know we have some work to do in that arena. So some work with our sponsors. We also are looking at opportunity to diversify our fundraising. Right now, we are completely reliant on our sponsors for the funds that we raise to deliver the content and the opportunities that we are able to get to the workers' compensation space. And we are looking at different ways to diversify. Should we put together a gala? Should we put together a golf tournament? We don't know the answer to that, but we know we're going to look at different opportunities, and I know Dion is going to be working on that over the next couple of years. Those take a lot of resource too. So we have to think about what we can tackle and what we can do. I mentioned that we did during COVID an alliance specific full day conference. It was a virtual conference. One of the things that we've talked about in our strategic planning is that something that we want to take on a more routine basis. We don't know the answer to that. These are things that we're contemplating. We also want to, as we look at the content that we bring, we want to look at how we can partner with organizations in the workers' compensation space a little more closely, and how our content can have deeper impact into the organizations that embrace and are part of the alliance. That's closer work with our sponsors, but organizations across the entire space. And I think one of the more exciting things, and one of the things that we have been asked about a lot over the course of almost 10 years, Kimberly, is a mentorship program, right? A mentorship program. And Nina Smith, one of the board members, has really taken this on. And I think as we look at 2024, and actually in not very long, and I think we talked even about it at the National Work Comp Conference about the launching of a mentorship program. So boy, that's a lot to tackle over the next 3 years. We've got a lot of work to bring some of these ideas forth, but I think that you'll see in the future, you'll see a lot of what we've been doing, right? Just maybe modified a little bit here and there, but you'll also see some new ideas and some new things pop up as we talked about. Jennifer, I think this might be a good time for you to really, talk about those events and the ambassador program and all of those wonderful things that really impact our followers and our sponsors today.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think when you start at a year, from a content, from what our ambassador events look like, from, what topics we're going to tackle for the year, we really start at our theme. And so I love kind of going back through our history because we always want to be intentional in what we're bringing to the industry. And we started in 2021, we had the theme as Through the Lens. And the reason why we wanted to do Through the Lens is because you can look at it from different levels. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can look at it from different perspectives. Then we moved into 2022, and our theme was Acknowledge, Adjust, Advance. Acknowledge where we are, adjust if we need to, and advance forward. And then last year, our theme for the whole year was Together Towards Tomorrow. We felt that that was imperative for us to say that no one is doing this journey alone. How can we continue to elevate everyone together so no one is left behind? And that resonated throughout all of our topics throughout the year. And so as we were going through the strategic planning, we realigned our, you heard Kimberly talk about the purpose and the vision and the mission. And really when you look at the purpose of to unlock the full potential of women in the workers' compensation industry, it became very apparent that our theme really needed to align and be cohesive with that purpose. And that's really why we launched 2024 as Ignite Your Potential. And you'll see this going throughout 2024, both at national events, our content online, our ambassador events, etc. And so we're really excited about that theme because there's a whole plethora of topics and content that we can bring out through that theme. So looking at the different type of events that the Alliance hosts, one is our main national events. We have this year, we have 4 national events. The first one is being kicked off at WCRI. WCRI is a thought leadership event. This is going to be centered around culture and leadership change. We're really excited this year that we're really going to lean into the expertise and the experience of key leadership in the industry. And so our first national event, the keynote speaker is going to be Michelle Adams. She's a former board member and founding member of the Alliance. And she's going to really be talking about, what does culture look like? What is the leadership change throughout the last couple of years? And how do we continue to evolve that from that capacity? We love WCRI because the thought leadership topic, it brings us all together. We'll have some collaboration sessions or table talk where we can really brainstorm around that. The next one is at Executives in Workers' Compensation, EWC in California. The topic is Rise in Resilience. We're gonna be having more of a TED Talk structure, bringing inspiration for some key leadership in the industry. Then moving into the fall, WCI in Orlando. The topic's gonna be around moving the dial about DEI and leaning into that topic. And then the last one, National Comp, it's Ignite Your Potential around careers. And so talking through, the career journeys of CEOs within the industry, really understanding the journey. I always tell people that, the Alliance changed my life. Prior and earlier on in my career, I sometimes felt like I was on an island or, very successful women or individual leadership in the market. They were so beyond what I could achieve. And when you really pare it down and you get to know individuals, and you understand the journey, you understand we're all humans. We all have, experiences in our personal life, professional life that are really the same when you start listening to people's stories. And I think that really comes together. And it will help you understand that you can also move throughout your career in a successful way, and we're here to help. So we're really excited about these national events. If you don't attend a national event, that's okay. We really have tried to ensure that we have the resources to record these national events, and you will see them on demand on our webinar and then on our pages there. On our website, we do have where you can find the events that you would like to attend, register, and that's being updated throughout the year. Then we look at, as Kimberly said, prior to COVID, prior to 2020, we were only in person. We only hosted national events and ambassador events. And then, COVID kind of flipped everyone upside down, and we pivoted very quickly and started launching virtual events. And through that, as we were all coming out of COVID, the board, we started talking of, okay, does virtual stay, or was this just a period of time? And what we all came to the conclusion and the agreement that we're able to expand our footprint and the reach of individuals that might not be able to attend a national event or an ambassador event. And so we have fully adopted and embraced this virtual platform and the content that we're providing. And so what we do is we will have a webinar really every other week. So almost 20 to 25 webinars for this whole year that ranges from starting right now of the 101 series. And then we'll go into more professional development webinars. We have professional development webinars. We have quite a few industry, education, financial acumen. I know Kimberly has talked about that. So be on the lookout for on the website. We have several webinars being hosted throughout this year. As Lori said in the intro, and then Kimberly had mentioned, this first set of series is really like a reintroduction of the Alliance. Today, we're giving a high level of the state of the Alliance. In 2 weeks, we're going to be ambassador focused. So if you have not registered yet, that's something you'll definitely want to do. That's on January 25th. We're going to talk fully in depth about our ambassador program, how you can get involved, the events there. Then on February 8th, we have a DEI focus. As Marijo mentioned, Nina came back onto our board last year and really, embraced this DEI and how do we continue to evolve and grow this. And we're really excited about this mentorship program that we are launching. And she's going to be talking the whole session on what the Alliance is doing and further information on the mentoring program. And then February 22nd, the Employer Advisory Council. So I know we saw a lot in the chat asking about Employer Advisory Council. Be sure to sign up for that webinar February 22nd. We also have collaboration sessions in between the webinars. What we found was that, especially through COVID and just overall, smaller groups of networking coming together, taking the previous week's webinar and diving down more into an intimate group. And those collaboration sessions are hosted by one of our local AWWC ambassadors. So be sure, especially like with this one, next week we have a collaboration session. If you want to dive deeper into this topic, feel free to register that. But that's great networking. You get to meet individuals from across the country, not within just your geographical location. And then we were talking about ambassadors. I always say, the ambassadors are the heartbeat of the organization. They are the boots on the ground. If it wasn't for the ambassadors, our geographical footprint could not grow. And so our ambassadors, we have over 20 states. We have ambassadors throughout the country. They host local in-person events, at least 2 a year. And so check back on our website and you can see where we have local chapters. They have both in-person events. They host some virtual events. And that's really exciting for us for this year as we grow the ambassador program. We actually just opened up the recruitment a couple months ago, and we're going through interview process with new chapters as well as additional ambassadors coming on to support the Alliance. I would be remiss to also not talk about the resource page. We have blogs that, we have educational blogs in regards to professional development, personal development. We also have all of our webinars on demand, as well as, like I said, the national events on demand. And so I just put the link in the chat for you to be able to, check that out. And then last but not least, we launched a book club 2 years ago, and that really came from your comments and your feedback of, hey, how can we have additional smaller groups? And a lot of individuals love book club. And so we launched this 2 years. We always leave the first quarter open. We don't have a book club first quarter. We know how everybody, when you start the new year, we are focused and drill down into our jobs. And so we decided that, book club is always the second, third, and fourth quarter. We typically are taking either keynote speakers from previous years or women that have authored books, and we dive into that. So be sure to look for 2024, the listing of the book club. But what we do is we have 2 books per quarter. And then we had on once a month, you will then have your book club virtual meeting, which is a lot of fun. And we've seen a lot of positive feedback. So if you want to get involved, let us know. It's also on the website. And then if you have any suggestions on books that you have read and you're like, this would be an amazing book for our book club, feel free to email me and give suggestions. But, we're really excited about 2024 and what we're doing now and into the future. And hopefully it resonates with you as well. So I'm going to open it up to the chat. I don't know if anyone has any questions for Marijo or Kimberly or I, but we'll just leave it up to you guys.
There was definitely great chat going on, and I think we did a pretty good job in answering. It's wonderful to see. Oh, thank you. Jennifer says book club is amazing. Are there questions or post-book reading actions to be done? The discussions are not recorded in these small group collabs. Is that right, Jennifer?
Correct. Yeah. We want people to feel that they are in a safe space where we can have open conversations. And so we decided that recording on the smaller collabs or book clubs, we would not do that. We will provide a link here shortly.
That's great. Yeah, book club was fun. We started it because we had so many speakers that actually had written books. And so we thought, since we loved the webinars and the in-person events from these amazing women, why not support them further and learn beyond what the session offered through the book club? So that's really how it started. We've had wonderful feedback from followers on books written by women of diverse backgrounds, and certainly women that have spoke for the Alliance or speak to our hearts. So it's been a great program.
I think the collab sessions too, and we just talk about the mission and, again, going back to the networking and meeting people and learning from one another and lifting one another up, the book club, the collab sessions at the tables, the collab sessions after the virtual sessions, just in a tremendous amount of opportunity to get connected with new and different people. And I know we said this several times. I just can't say it enough, because frankly, it's one of the most impactful ways that the Alliance has affected me. And Jen, I echo your comments about how impactful it's been to us as individuals, as the organization has been to individuals. But this is just a very safe, non-threatening way to expand your network, to meet new people, to create new relationships. And so I really encourage everybody to get involved where they can at those different places.
Yeah, wonderful. And thanks for your feedback, everybody in the chat. List of books previously, Jen, and authored books. We probably have that list, maybe not to be able to share right now, Whitney, but we can get that out there if it's not already on our website. I think I'll go ahead and wrap this up, given that we're winding down. The Alliance is everyone's organization, and I want to stress that. It's not any single person. It would not be available without all of our wonderful sponsors and all of you that choose to participate. So we really do want you to invite your friends to join us, invite men to come along as well. If there's a topic that interests you, please share that with us, because that's how we create the content and our content calendar, our blogs. We are a networking organization, but at the end of the day, we want you to be able to take away personally and professionally and grow in your position. So we look forward to seeing you throughout the year. We're thrilled you are on this journey with us, and I really do hope you can tune in to the next 3 episodes of the reintroduction of the Alliance. I think those will be just as informative and inspiring as you may have come away from today. So we look forward to seeing you. We thank you, and we wish you an amazing Happy New Year. And do not forget, we're igniting your potential all year long. So thanks for joining us today, and take care, everybody.